This channel is for educational purposes only. Please do your own due diligence before making any investment decisions.
Hi, this is Joe Rabil. So just to make you aware, for my Friday morning videos, I'm going to try and do kind of a quick turnaround, but I am waiting for if there's any kind of economic data coming out Friday morning. I'm delaying my Friday morning video. I used to do it at 8, but I'm trying to include some extra information. I'm not waiting for the market to open, but I am going to see if any if any economic data comes out. Sometimes it's a market mover, and it's just worth incorporating that into what I'm looking at. All right. So just wanted to make you aware. Probably be looking for it to come out closer to 9 rather than 8. No biggie, but I want to make sure you're aware. Now, we are going to go through market conditions. We're going to look at all the different changes that have taken place in the momentum and the volatility, and as well as the trend. The shifts aren't taking place rapidly, but we are seeing them slowly but surely. Now, if you want to learn more about some of these techniques, I would suggest starting with the book. You can click the link in the description below to find out more. Also, if you do enjoy the content of these videos, please hit that like button and then also subscribe. Okay, so I'm going to look to run through the market conditions on the left first, drop this down, and then we're going to go through all the different chart aspects that we're studying here. But first, the sentiment. The sentiment did drop, believe it or not. There were a few more bears this week and a few less bulls, and we actually moved from 26% more bulls than 24% more bulls than bears. All right, now this is the Investors Intelligence Sentiment Survey. It's essentially a survey of professional advisors. I have to put this in the negative camp. Now, even though if you looked at it independent of price, it would probably be in the more neutral camp. But the fact that we keep climbing here and moving to new highs and really not showing any real strong selling, and it hasn't gotten to a point where people are really throwing in the towel, I have to put it in the negative camp. All right, the overbought, oversold oscillator on the RSI 5 is at 74, clearly in the negative camp. It also has divergence. We'll go into that in a second. The trend and the momentum are all positive now. All right, we move that weekly into the positive camp, and then the volatility is neutral for both weekly and daily. So let's go ahead and drop this down. Let's start with the chart on the right, which is the weekly chart. And you can see that we're getting stretched away from the 18-week line. The volatility is dropping. Now, it's gotten really close to rolling over. I use a 5-bar look back comparing it, so it can't shift back and forth a whole bunch of times. So we actually need a little bit more of a drop. I would think that will start next week, unless today, Friday, has a massive wide range week, and Monday starts out, or next week's volatility is just huge. Mostly, I would be thinking, though, that this is probably going to drop down, and we're going to have a confirmation of the positive volatility on the weekly if that takes place. Now, the volatility on the daily chart is neutral as long as it stays above the purple line, the 18-week of the volatility of the ATR. All right. So if we were to get a lot of volatility over the next few days, then you could actually turn this to the negative side. So we just got to keep stay on our toes right now. But you do see divergence developing on their RSI 5. We're made a new high here, and we are diverging. We're making a lower high in the 5 RSI. So if that takes place and we get this to come down and the volatility continues to drop, then we're putting ourselves in a really good position for a buy signal. Not a buy signal, but a pretty good setup and a much better environment, I think, than the one we're in right now, where we're kind of buying in an overbought position. I mean, first of all, when you look at the monthly, now we're up 3-4 months in a row. I mean, just the turnaround and the move to the upside and breaking to a new high is one thing, but now we've moved several months up off of this bottom. We have not pulled back close enough to the 18 to really consider it a significant retracement to offer a great buying opportunity. We didn't even retrace to the breakout point. Green DI has not been able to get above the 25 mark, all right? But we will say green DI has been making higher highs and higher lows, all right? I mean, I'm not trying to call this a terrible look to it. I'm just saying there's a lot of components missing before you get, seriously bullish. We were looking for more of a consolidation pattern to take place on this daily chart, maybe chop around a little bit, and we certainly still could do that. But the conditions that are here are not bad. We've crossed above the signal line on the MACD. Green DI, see how red tried to crisscross with red and then it failed, and now green DI is breaking above these prior little peaks. So we've got some continuation on that time frame, and then we had a pretty strong move to the downside based on the red DI, and since that time we've turned around and green is back in command. So we have to go with what we see and not with what we believe. I mean, my belief has been that this is going to be very hard pressed to just continue to carry to the upside without some form of a trading range to form or something like that. All right, so I think if we don't get that, then we could push to the upside, but it's probably going to be more of a climatic move, maybe some dynamics behind it, but it just doesn't really offer those great opportunities where we have low volatility and pullback like we got off the daily chart. We were getting those off the daily pullback, pullback, pullback. All of these with low volatility. We now haven't had that happen once on the weekly chart. All right. I did want to show one other thing. Let me just pull up this. I want to pull up a short-term time frame again and show you this trading play that did develop. This happened yesterday's on Thursday, all right, and on yesterday. So we've got this rally up to a declining 18 here. The pinch play develops on the MACD, and we get red DI in command. Now this is on a 5-minute chart. All right. We don't necessarily expect big moves on a 5-minute chart, especially when we have a lot of green DI here. But we could get a move inside the channel area. All right. But look at how nice this pattern was rallying up. Now we had this big green bar, so that could have people raising some caution as to whether they should play this off of this time frame. So I want to show you a couple things that could have helped. So first of all, we get this nice rally right to the 18 and really good separation with the pinch. I mean, this is a classic pinch. It is really pretty, and red DI is holding the 25 line well above green. All right, so those are all really good conditions in place in the 5-minute. I want to zero in on what took place on the 1-minute, because what happened was we had this move up, right? And then we came down, and then we made a marginal new high. So we made this marginal new high and then immediately reversed, okay? Now the the MACD did confirm, all right? It did go up, but we can see a little bit of divergence developing in the histogram. This alone by itself probably wouldn't be enough for me to consider this taking a trade as it's coming back down, coming through this prior low or something like that. But I would tell you to watch this red DI, and we're looking at the short side on this. All right. So if you notice, red DI makes this move up, and we get a push to the upside. Everything else has been lower high. These are all lower highs. Now we're making another lower high off of this move. Let's just make sure we got this lined up. So this right here, this high coincides with this low right here. Then we rallied up and we make a lower low in price that is actually another pivot, and we make we're making another higher low, or a lower high, I should say. But if you notice the way this takes place, we don't get another pivot from that point on. So we make this move down, we rally up, we come down and make a low, and then this is really the low point of the move. It kind of goes all like that, and then we make a higher high right here as this red bar is coming back down through, and we're looking for a cross of this price action here. And that would confirm that red DI is actually shifting. You see what I mean? So what I'm trying to point out here is we can use the red DI on the bottom when we're looking for a new sell signal. We can use the bottom one. So if we're in an uptrend and we're looking for a sell signal, or if we're in a downtrend and we're looking for an upside signal, then we're looking for the green. We can use this to our advantage. The red and the eye can be separated, and we can use each one. In this case, I would be looking for this to make that higher high after forming a higher low. And now we have the start of something a little bit more significant to the downside. So we should have been able to take advantage of that, especially considering the fact that we made a marginal new high and we formed a pivot low, right? And then came back down. So I'm just pointing out these minor things that can be useful. You know, they're a small deal when you look at them, but when you put them into place, it offers you the opportunity to take advantage of a trade like that. So I just wanted to add that into this signal. Just remember, if you're moving up and looking for a short, one of the things we can look for, because this is going to have some lag to it using the ADX, but we can look at the bottom DI. So in this case, we'd be watching red. And if we're in a downtrend and we're looking for a reversal coming back up, we can look at the green and look for that kind of reversal back to the upside to sort of prove itself from that standpoint. All right, we can almost see that here where we make this peak and we make a lower high and then we make another lower high, but we're making a higher low here and then we make a higher high. That tells you that the up move is coming up. Let me just show you this real quick. So this green DI is doing this. We're watching green DI. You can clearly see the improvement taking place right about here. It's right about where this is clicking in. So we have a trading play coming from contraction of the move. We were in a downtrend and now we're starting to contract, right? Now we're looking for proof of contraction again, which would prove that we're ready to continue to the downside again. So keep these little qualities of the DI in play, and I think they can really help you. All right, let me know if you have any questions. We'll see you next time.